305 of the Lethal Mullet codcast. It certainly isn't a codcast. We're talking about fish tonight. We are on a podcast. That's right. Lethal Mullet podcast here live on, of course, the Fandom Podcast Network. Courtesy, of course, of Kyle Wagner and Kevin Reitzel, the Raider Nerd, co-founders of this amazing network. I'm your host, Adhamar, Brian, coming to you live here from Quillen's Canteen on the Gold Coast of Australia to look at the 2001 film. Now, this is one great film, something that I haven't watched in a good 10 years, at least. You know, it's something that came out in 2001 and wasn't really expecting it to be as fun as it is. And it really is a fun movie. That is, of course, A Knight's Tale with such a great cast, headed by, of course, the amazing and late Australian actor, Heath Ledger. And one of his probably first big international roles, obviously been in 10 Things I Hate About You and done a few other things here and there, and particularly in Australia. We've known him for films like Two Hands and a few other things. But this is really an interesting time because we get to see him, in a great, cast really come together in an action comedy, because that's what this is. And it's a bit of a musical too, when you think about it too. We've got the Queen music in there. We've got a bit of Thin Lizzy. And Brian Helgeleland has done a fantastic job writing, producing, and directing this a great film. We're going to be getting into that tonight. A little bit about Firefly coming back. Obviously, the big announcement on last week, which was fantastic. And also, we've got more stuff. Kevin's still in the country too, down in Melbourne right now as well, for, of course, Fandom Podcast Network. And, this podcast, podcast is going out. And, of course, we are going to go out with some style today and, of course, chat movies and more here on this great network. Let's get into it.
All right, lights, camera, action. Now, where's the mullet? Where is he? Is he coming in by chopper again?
And now, live from Quinlan's Cantina in the Gold Coast of Australia, it's time again for your dose of action cinema history from the 80s, 90s, and beyond with the Lethal Mullet Podcast. Oh, g'day, mate. How you going?
Oh, yeah, that's right, folks. We are getting into this episode. This is something I've really wanted to chat about for a while. We actually wanted to do this episode back in the last season of Lethal Mullet, and we were going to do it with a bunch of the guys, but we just couldn't find time, to get everyone on. I do believe we're going to get Dan and Lee on this one, if I remember right. That's how far back this one goes, but we're chatting about it tonight, of course. You can catch this show and many others, like on fpnet.podbean.com. You can see on the little ticker going down here. And, of course, catch us on all socials at the Lethal Mullet for news, more, and mayhem, guitar playing, and memes and AI, face swaps of crazy stuff. Who knows? It's all out there. Tonight, obviously, looking at this, and we're going to look at a little bit more about what's happening with Nathan Fillion's quest to get this great show back on. We'll get pretty much straight into it, folks, because this really is—it's a fun thing that they've done. Firefly is close to the heart of a lot of us. It is a great sci-fi stagecoach to the stars sort of thing. It's like a crazy family that came together from, who knows, like how great it was to get a cast like this together. It's a very rare thing that you get it to be so spot on. Obviously, with, the likes of the cast, they've got Adam Baldwin in there. They've got, obviously, Miranda Baccarin. You name it. It's just a really solid cast. Some of them actually in the movie we're going to be chatting about tonight. But Firefly's coming back as an animated series. And, who better to bring it back and be championing this effort than Nathan himself? He's such a fantastic actor and real personality when it comes to pop culture. He's always been behind that stuff, by the way, too. Really been into, obviously, comics, retro, you name it. He's somebody that's always been there. And now with the Rookie, obviously, he's playing pretty hard and fast. So he's kind of the Tom Selleck for our generation, if you like. It's such a long-running show. Not so much a detective show. It's a cop show, obviously, a procedural police show. But, it is a fantastic show, without a doubt. I've watched at least the first 4 seasons. So it is addictive, but I mean, even my folks watch that show. That's how good it is. It's really across. Firefly could have had exactly that too. I think there's nothing wrong with Firefly continuing in such capacity. And that FPN here, obviously, we're huge fans of that too. So down the line, sometime later this year, after I do another rewatch of the show, maybe even look at, I've got the RPG of Firefly plus the big Universal board game of it too. So you obviously Reavers versus Browncoats versus Alliance in that too. And it's a really interesting game. It takes a few hours to play too. You get your own ship, you get your own crew, and you got to go around the verse and do what you got to do to live and do all the jobs and stuff like that, like these guys do in the show as well. Fantastic. The RPG, if I remember right, was created by Margaret Weiss. Margaret Weiss obviously did all the Dragonlance novels back in the day too. And it is a fantastic book too. Get it just for the lore alone. You actually get an episode or guide on the TV show and how to play the series of episodes in the game itself too, if you're that way inclined to actually replay those as well. So look, more coming on this. We love it. It's such a fantastic way to look at it too. So Kevin Reitzel, the Raider Nerd, yes, he's been hanging around. And no, that's not a real cigar, folks. There was no cigar present at JB Hi-Fi on the day. No. This is us looking at the 4K edition of Highlander, which we've talked about on a previous show. I've now watched said edition, and it is fantastic. The actual features on it, too, worth you checking out. Now, the big news about Highlander in particular, and yes, we know that Kevin's a huge fan because he's got a podcast of his own called Blood of Kings, a Highlander podcast, which looks at Highlander itself too, obviously with Lee Fillingsness, Norwegian smooth. But the great thing about Highlander is that the original screenplay is now getting turned into a graphic novel. So if you want to see where it all came from, why, like this sort of thing came together and how it did, all that sort of stuff, well, folks, you don't need to look too much further because it's going to happen and it's been happening and we'll be covering it on Blood of Kings, no doubt. Highlander. Yes, the podcast. Yes. Because why not?
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is...
G'day, man. How you going? Follow the Lethal Mullet here on Fandom Podcast Network's master channel at fpnet.podbean.com or subscribe on the Podbean app where you can find all the shows. Blood of Kings, a Highlander podcast. Culture Clash, a weekly look at pop culture. You look at Making Treks, a Star Trek fan podcast. You can also check out the Mullet Guild, a look at the Dune universe from me, the Lethal Mullet. You can also check out this show and all the others like What a Piece of Junk, a Star Wars podcast, Type 40, a Doctor Who podcast, Good Evening, an Alfred Hitchcock podcast, and much, much more. All on FPN. You can follow on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all podcatchers. Make sure you follow me, the Lethal Mullet, at The Lethal Mullet on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
All right, folks. Yes, we've chatted about all the good stuff, and we're going to get even to more better stuff. And we're going to have to put on our old English accents because we're going back to the medieval days of the fair and, of course, of the jousting. Yes, I mean, what a sport, jousting. I mean, it's something that apparently you can do even these days. Jousting. Can you believe that? Yeah. Yeah, so apparently, from what I've been told, that there's different clubs. I don't know if they're in Australia. I think that you'll find them probably overseas, no doubt. But I mean, whether we've got them here, that's fantastic. But jousting, yeah, jumping on a horse and wearing the armor and knocking somebody out, it is a thing still today, somewhere out there. And we're going to be chatting about the old-fashioned version of it now, on, of course, A Knight's Tale. Now, this is a film that came out in 2001. And I did get to see it, I do believe, first up on I think it was a VCD, which was something that was brought to me from overseas. One of my friends had come back from, it was Thailand, and had a whole suitcase just full of these CDs, these VCDs they call them, visual compact discs, and there was things like Matchstick Men and I do believe one of the Star Wars films or something like that. But A Knight's Tale, well, it caught my eye. I always like a bit of fantasy or medieval sort of thing, and I kind of like the idea. It's a 2001 medieval action comedy, is the best way to describe it. Co-written and produced by Brian Helgeleland, and of course Heath Ledger's the star of this as Bill Thatcher or William Thatcher, and of course he's got a different name in this, which we'll get to too. One of our favourites in this, of course, is James Purefoy playing the Black Prince, and of course Paul Bettany gets to play Geoffrey Chaucer, and of course Edward the Black Prince was a real one, and of course Geoffrey Chaucer was a very real person as well. Film takes place after the name of Chaucer's story, The Knight's Tale. It's part of the Canterbury Tales and draws from several plot points of Chaucer's work as well. So obviously that's a big part of the thing too. Based on that too, produced by Todd Bryan and of course Tim Van Rellum. Starring, of course, along with Ledger, we've got Mark Addy, Rufus Sewell, one of my favourites, fantastic. We've got Paul Bettany, and of course from Firefly, Alan Tudyk, one of the funniest guys out there and a great impressionist too, by the way. So we've got cinematography by Richard Graytrax. We've got music by Carter Burwell. Company with this one was Columbia Pictures, Escape Artists, and Finest Kind Productions. It came out May 11, 2001, and on a budget of $65 million, it did 117.5 at the box office, which is quite a tidy little sum for a movie of this type, at the time. And it really is a real mix of all the different things they talk about. Obviously, it's a great vehicle for Heath, well on his way, and only 6 to 7 years later, we get the Joker, probably his piece de resistance when it comes to how fantastic a performance. And he really, I think, got into that picture in particular, a little bit like this one, where the believability is that he gets right into it and is somebody that cares about the performance and cares about what he does with that too. So what's it all about? Let's have a chat. Let's have a look at what the movie is at its heart. It's set in the 14th century in Europe, of course, but William Thatcher, Roland, and Watt discover their master, Sir Ector, has died on the road to London, basically. And from here, with Womble Pass, they had to go to a tournament, and they decide that Bill should wear the armor and go out there and impersonate him so they can literally eat. That's where it's at. Although, of course, the nobles themselves will only allow people into it with a track record of their family and stuff like that. They have to show a patent of nobility. So a patent nobility, which a very young and naked Geoffrey Chaucer meets them on their own and says, you know what, if you clothe me and feed me, I will do exactly that. Of course, they came up with the character of Ulrich von Liechtenstein from Gelderland, which no one, of course, heard of, and it's all BS, but, it works. And so William is brought before Simon the Summoner and Peter the Pardoner, and Chaucer has a gambling problem in this, and this is why he was left on where he was. And he says, look, if he wins, we'll pay for every of his debts and stuff like that too. From here, the competition itself, William goes out using this badly damaged armor, and it gets even worsely damaged as well too in this. And this is where a female blacksmith that they meet, called Kate, says, look, I'll repair this afterwards with the tournament as well coming up. And so long as she can put her inscription on there, just like a logo from, the modern day now as well would be on shoes or clothes. And, she'll get a name out there too. So there's a way of doing that too. From here, in the joust, he faces Sir Thomas Colville, who withdraws from the tournament after being injured by William, although they exchange a ceremonial pass so that Colville can retain the honour. And it might just be that Colville's somebody else. From here, the proceedings are observed by a nobleman by the name of Jocelyn, who William's kind of hot for in this too. And from here, there's a rival as well, which of course is the Count Adhamar of Anjou, played by Rufus Sewell, who plays fantastic villains. This is probably, outside of Dark City, his best role. And he's a fantastic actor. He's got that real snobbery sort of way of his performance, that real stuck-up sort of style of, royal who, should always be first in everything he does, but he does it so well, and he's a fantastic actor who's actually a brilliant photographer too, which you can see on the set of The Dark City that he did back out here, which I personally think The Matrix has a lot to answer for, is Dark City, fantastic Alex Proyas film with Rufus being the lead in that, along with we got Keith Sutherland in that one, Richard O'Brien. We've also got, I do believe, William Hurt's in that one too. That's all right. Duke Leto from the miniseries of June as well. So from here, William gets to know, obviously, at a banquet, gets to know his due love a lot better. And obviously from here too, Adhamar starts to see that his love for, or his infatuation for the woman is causing his a little bit of a headbutt, along with, of course, Ulrich von Liechtenstein. From here, this is where Adhamar is called away to the Battle of Poitiers, and William gets a chance to basically make his way up to the level where he's at too. The group then goes to the World Championships in London, and this is where William himself is basically found out to be a fake. But William recalls basically seeing his father, the squire for Sir Ector, learn to become a knight when he was left to go and basically join him. But Adhamar has also arrived and announces then negotiations to have marriage with Jocelyn. So from here, he basically needs to find out his true identity. And they do find out, indeed, where his identity comes from, and that he is not of royal blood, supposedly. But this is where, of course, another royal comes into it, of course, and saves him. So this is, of course, where we have the prince himself come across and say, look, you saved me once, I'm going to do the exact same for you. And basically, as Edward the Black Prince then knights him because he's got ancient royalty in his way too. So it's a very satisfactory way of bringing it back to, as he becomes, of course, William Thatcher to everyone, and he's just seen as a squire. He is actually royalty. So it really brings it back. And we get that comeuppance for Rufus Sewell's character, and it's all for the love, of course, of Jocelyn, this beautiful woman who basically has both Adhamar and William vying for attention too. So, which it just makes A Knight's Tale such a brilliant film to watch. All right, so let's have a look at a bit of the cast here. Heath Ledger is William Thatcher, the squire to the late Sir Ector, and of course his bullshittery is Sir Ulrich von Liechtenstein of Gelderland, which I think is really interesting and at the same time very sorcery character that they came up with. But it works, and he plays it up quite well. Although I don't know that he really gets the accents and stuff like down pat. He's just like Russell Crowe in this, puts out that real Aussie accent, if you like. There's no in between. He just does the accent, So there's definitely that too. Got Mark Addy, obviously it's Roland in this, a squire to the Sir Ector as well, and he's a friend of William's. And Mark's great. I mean, you can't go wrong. Mark is the lovable, big sort of rogue best mate, or whatever you want to call it. And he plays it well. Very different to, of course, his work on Game of Thrones as the King of the Andals, all that sort of stuff. And Mark's great. I mean, this is more like his TV work as well too, as sort of like the funny but well-meaning friend and all that too. Rufus Sewell as Count Adhamar of Anjou, and he's basically the battle-hardened, really war-weary knight, I guess you could say, somebody that's been out there for a long time. And he believes Sir Ulrich to be a lesser person, a lesser knight, and taunts him, all for the love and getting, of course, Jocelyn to look his way. But Jocelyn doesn't really feel that way too. Paul Bettany as Chaucer, a big-headed writer and ring announcer. Well, whether this is exactly what Chaucer is like, who knows? But Paul Bettany plays this so well. It's one of Bettany's better roles too. I mean, Bettany's done a bit of everything, really, hasn't he? And he's definitely somebody that's in the Marvel universe now too. So he's very forward with being Vision, obviously, now in the series of Marvel films and TV shows and all that sort of stuff. But we've got to remember, he's a fantastic actor too, on top of it, doing these great roles. And then this one's great. His sense of humor comes out and it plays very well. We also got Shannon Sossaman as Jocelyn, the lady of noble birth, bound to the church, but enjoys fun and tricks in life. And obviously, she likes Heath's character, and she's great in this. I believe this is about the only thing I've seen her in, and I do believe she went and left cinema or left doing movies and got into music after this too. So I don't think acting was her thing, and she went into something else afterwards, from what I remember. But she's really good in this, and I think plays it quite well. Again, this is kind of a musical in parts too, because we've got big dance numbers in this film as well, which are quite fun as well. Alan Tudyk is a squire of the late director and obsessed with the greater things in life. And of course, he's angry all the time, and he's going to wallop people, all that sort of stuff. It is great. And Tudyk obviously is one of those really lovable actors, and he obviously a character actor, but this is one of those ones which I just, I really enjoyed seeing him do this, and did a fantastic job bringing it to the fore. Really, really well done. Laura Fraser is Kate, a hardworking widowed blacksmith who joins William in this too. And, she's quite good at this. I think does a really good job of sort of joining the team, and she has a say. She's got her thing to say as well, and I think that's really well handled in this too. We've got Christopher Kazanov as John Thatcher, William's father. Fantastic in this. Then we've got Baroness Bayo as Christiana, which is Jocelyn's loyal best mate. And, of course, one of my favourites, James Purefoy. What could be said? I mean, Purefoy obviously plays a lot of, I think, cameo roles and things over the years. But to me, folks, he's Solomon Kane. That's right, Solomon Kane. What a great, movie. This is basically Robert E. Howard's other character outside of, all these ones that he put together were like Conan. But this is one that was set in the 16 to 1700s and was ready to rock and roll. He was ready to go against everything the church wanted at the time. And it's a fantastic movie. It's a real fantasy film, but demonic fantasy. It's dark. And, I can only think of, them playing Biohazard and Sepultura as a soundtrack to that film. It's a shame. It's a little bit like Dread. It didn't do quite as well. It should have done better. It had a great cast. I mean, an absolutely brilliant cast. Pete Postlethwaite was in it, I do believe. Max von Sydow was in it as well, from Conan, and there you go. So there's a lot of that too. And Purefoy's great. He's a really rock-solid, charismatic guy. And then they just put him in background roles like John Carter or Resident Evil or, you name it, folks. Like, he's better than that. He's a great actor, and it's a shame that, there's not more of him out there. There's a lot in the 2000s that you got to check out if you haven't, which Purefoy has done. And I'll leave it up to you to check it if you haven't seen his movie where he plays a Knights Templar. So go and check that out. That's well worth checking out Purefoy's work as well. So this film is an interesting one. Let's have a look at a little bit about how this all came together. So it was filmed entirely in the Czech Republic at Barrandov Studios, Prague. Now, if you're a Dune fan, you're going to notice a lot of people in this film from the Dune miniseries. They pop up all the way through. One of the big ones, obviously, is, let's just say, a mentor to Paul Atreides. I won't say too much. He's been in almost everything. He's been in Mission Impossible as well. Go and check that out as well. Now, the film was set to go in during the summer of 2000, and this is where they started filming. The film was in production. Heath Ledger met Heather Graham during her simultaneous filming of From Hell. From here, lances were created that were convinced to explode upon impact for the stunt riders, and the body of each of these were basically scored so it would break easily at the end. I mean, and you look at it, it almost looks like gunpowder is coming out of some of those splintering effects that we see. So as the impact of the javelin, if you like, or in this case the pole, it hits the armor and then just, and it makes her a very cinematic effect. Whether they actually did that in reality, I don't know. It depends on how hard they were hitting, the type of armor, all that sort of stuff too. And basically, each of the actual tips were made out of balsa wood, so that's why they were so light. Each was hollowed out, and the holes were filled with balsa and splinters and undercooked linguine. So it looked like going everywhere. Brian Helgeleland has also said on the commentary that he intended to show Geoffrey Chaucer might have been inspired to write the Canterbury Tales during the 6 months which Chaucer seems to have gone missing in 1372 as well too. And the suit of armour was made in steel by UK-based Armadillo Limited. They created several of the stunt replicas, Count Adhamar's beautiful armor, and the jousting armors as well. From this, too, the big thing that puts this all together is the music. And it really is a good who's who of 70s and 80s rock and roll, folks. Particularly more 70s. We've got Queen with We Will Rock You, Lowrider from War, classic one, that one too. Taking Care of Business by Bachman Turner Overdrive. Golden Years by, of course, David Bowie, which is the dance number. We've got Further On Up the Road by Eric Clapton. We've got Get Ready by Rare Earth. Wanna Take You Higher by Sly and the Family Stone. The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy. And, of course, You Should Be All Night by Australia's own AC/DC. And We Are the Champions, which is, of course, Robbie Williams and Queen. That's right. And, of course, if you haven't seen the start of it, it has a little bit of a chant that goes... That's right. We Will Rock You is given this huge opening. And it is such a fantastic way to bring people into the jousting event, which is kind of like a rock and roll concert for the medieval days. You know, it is fantastic. So top performances, obviously, Paul Bettany, great in this. Rufus Sewell needs, a nomination for the work he's done, not only in this film, but others, but this one, fantastic in. Also, I think the big one, Heath, obviously, fantastic in this. And, of course, Alan Tudyk. Well worth it for you two out there. How is this? And, of course, on the Hellenbach scale, this is a whopping, you ready for it, folks? 5. That's right. 5 on the Joe Hellenbach scale. That's right. We go on the hand scale based on, of course, The Last Boy Scouts, Joe Hellenbach, Bruce Willis's character. So this is a movie worth your time, folks. You've got to go and check it out. It is worth it. That's all we got here for, of course, Lethal Mullet podcast for this week, and we'll be back next week looking at Toy Soldiers. That's right, great film, which is one that, I absolutely loved. I actually saw that film on Laserdisc, believe it or not, on the first Laserdisc. Was it Laserdisc in? It was a huge TV at Video Easy, I believe it was, and it was, what sort of TV was it? Must have been a rear projection TV. It was huge. It was mounted through the window at the time as well. So anyway, but the visuals, the imagery, and the fact that you got this massive record-sized disc going in to play this, it was astounding to me that they actually had a place there for that too. But it was a great film. Obviously, we get to see Samwise Gamgee and Wesley Crusher take on these terrorists, and it's just a really well-played film. And I think particularly, it's a family movie, but it shows the good heart and soul of kids that are caught in such a predicament too. And some sad moments too, obviously, as well out there. And a film which we're going to enjoy looking back at. I haven't watched it for probably about 10, 15 years as well. It's great to look at these things on season 9, of course, of Lethal Mullet. Check us out on fpnet.podbean.com and, of course, at the Lethal Mullet on all socials. Folks, we'll catch you next time here on the show.